Hello and welcome to the Boys and the Boss post-match reaction to Celtic 2, Sturm Graz 1. I am your host, Terry, and I am currently not joined by anyone. I was supposed to be joined by Liam, but he got called away late in the day. Bit late at night to be going out looking for help, so I'll give it a bash on my own for 20 minutes or so. I'll interact with you guys, get your reactions to the game, and we'll take it from there. If you can do all that good stuff for us, give us a like, give us a share, help get us out there. We're one of the smaller pods at the moment. We're low on the food chain. We know there's lots of big boys on at the same time as us tonight. So any of you that are watching, thank you very, very much for your support. Glad to get a win, to be honest. In terms of tonight's game, I was confident. I didn't have any reason to be confident. I shared it with anybody that I spoke to today. I just had a good feeling about it. I think it was more just wanting something good to happen as opposed to maybe actually believing it. I don't know. Thought about the manager's comments of last week and what would he do differently. Was really sort of keen to see what the team lineup would look like, what changes he was going to make structurally, all that kind of stuff. Decided to turn the phone off as well just before the game went off. I usually don't interact too much when the games are on because I like to sit and watch them, but I just felt with all the negativity that's going around, almost every misplaced pass, your phone was going to be pinging, and it was going to be those ones. So I just turned the phone off and just sat and watched the game. And I mean, all in, I thought it was quite an enjoyable watch. It was an end-to-end game, almost like a basketball game at some times. So it was fine from an entertainment point of view, even when we were 1-0 down. And again, you got that feeling it's just going to be another one of those days. To me, it felt a little bit different. I was a bit more positive. I felt we were creating chance after chance after chance. Reminded me a wee bit of the Hibs game where we created enough chances to win 2 or 3 games, but we just couldn't find the net. And again, you're thinking the way things are going for Celtic at the minute, you're thinking it's just going to be another one of those nights, especially when we're missing so many chances, guys getting blocks, goalkeepers making great saves, all sorts of stuff. But all told, it's good to get a win again. The positivity that comes from that won't hurt. In terms of this competition, that's 4 points from 3 games, still gives us a reasonable chance to qualify and get European football after Christmas. The most important thing for me, I think, well, from my perspective, I'll be keen to get your guys' thoughts as well, is I just wanted something positive to hang on to going into Sunday, because Sunday is such an important game, but we'll get to that in a bit. So the all-important team lineup, I thought the way the manager talked about him having to find a solution, I felt he would try something different, but he didn't really. He's made a few changes, but structurally it was still the same. Flat back 4, Johnston back in again. I'm going to get a bit of support here. Hi, David. I didn't want to hassle you, mate. Didn't want to hassle you with it being late, but thank you very much.
Up late, mate. Don't worry.
So just touching on the lineup there, Johnston back in again briefly. Carter, Vickers and Scales. Tierney keeps his place. One change in the midfield. Arnie Engels comes in and joins Cal McGregor and Rayo Hatate. Then he tries something that he said didn't work before. He puts Negron back out on the right again, Taneke on the left, and Iheanacho through the middle. What was your thoughts, David, in terms of lineup?
I was surprised, to be honest, but it was very much after Sunday. I was like, well, I'm willing to try anything at this point, and I think Brendan was obviously feeling the same. So, yeah, at first I was a bit, and when I saw it, was funny because on all the websites and stuff, and I think even the lineup on the telly, they had Engels out on the right hand side, and I thought, nah, surely that can't be right, and obviously it wasn't. But no, I was happy to see some sort of change to line up to see if some, you throw enough shit at the wall, something will stick, I guess. And yeah, I mean, I was happy to see a change, Terry. I wasn't overly confident with it, because I know we'd seen Reegan out on the right before, and it wasn't amazing, but he definitely was up for it tonight. He was willing to pull his socks up and try something tonight, Reegan. So yeah, fair play.
I'm thinking if I'm trying to think what's going on in the manager's head, and I don't know if that's a place I really want to venture into at the minute, but I'm thinking Reegan, without the ability to go on the outside, without the pace to go on the outside, as opposed to the ability, but bringing Johnston back in and his natural attacking instincts, does that set up? Was that worth another go? Because Reegan coming inside creates a real space for Johnston to move into. Now, obviously, we didn't get much of an opportunity to see that play out, and that's, at what cost has this come tonight? But let's go through the events sort of in sequence. So I didn't even have time to work out the shape whenever Iheanacho pulls up, hamstring injury, 2 minutes in.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't know how that only happens to you when you're going through a spell like Celtic are going through now. And the only saving grace that I can see is that it didn't happen after the balls were thrown on at the weekend. Because can you imagine if one of our players pulled up with a hammy 2 minutes after the game had been paused, just after the players were ready to go? They'd done their huddle, they were ready to go, the whistle blew, then there was a 3 to 4 minute break. Can you imagine if he'd pulled up 2 minutes later? That would all have been on the crowd. And just if it was going to happen, it's better that it happened tonight. But he immediately signals that he's coming off. That could be him for the rest of 2025. That could be his last game for the club.
We were warned about that from his previous club's fans on Twitter or X, that he is prone to injury, and with a player that's hadn't kicked a ball all summer, brought in out of the cold and just thrown straight into the deep end, and you'll get March sharp by just playing through it all. And I feel like it's came home to roost tonight. Just Johnson trying that pass that he would normally expect Kyogo to be running. I think Johnson's been out of the team for long enough that he's forgotten that Kyogo wasn't up front chasing those balls, and he actually tried it for 2 seconds and pulled a hammy. So it was bitterly disappointing, because I feel like, I know in the actuals he wasn't everyone's first choice or even second or third choice, but we got him, and I can't help but feel like he's doing what was said on the tin when we got him. Like you can see he was a Premier League player there. Like his touch and like his movement, and he's just not got the pace yet, or if he'll ever get it again. And obviously, like I think we were all just kind of having to just like this. It's going to come good. We can see little bits of improvement here and there. Frustrating as that has been, I was kind of all right with it. So I was bitterly disappointed, because I was kind of thinking this could be the game where he comes alive tonight, which I think was the case. I think it could have been the case with the whole team. It was very much, could this be the night that we fucking do something to turn this season around? And I was really hoping that Iheanacho was going to be a big part of that tonight. So it was bitterly disappointing, but it's made way for Kenny to now try and prove a point.
Yeah,
which I'm sure we can get onto that at some point.
I'm with you. Iheanacho wouldn't have been in my top 50 choices, if I'm being honest with you. I was completely underwhelmed by that. However, once you've got what you've got, he felt like our best bet out of the options that we had. And now he's I don't see any way he's back. He's back for he's out for weeks, possibly months. He has to be. You don't there was no attempt whatsoever to try and even get up and test it out or anything. So that looks bleak. Opportunity knocks for Johnny Kenny. Another guy, I have to say, I don't see a long-term Celtic future for Johnny Kenny. This probably presents an opportunity for him, depending again on Dyson Maida's injury status. If Maida's not back for the weekend, you're probably looking at Kenny as your starter. He almost gets off to a dream start. He works hard to win possession down the right-hand side, bears in on goal. It's from an angle, and the keeper's coming out. You'd like him to hit the target all the same to give himself the best chance of scoring. He probably has to be close to the post, and he's close to the post, but just on the outside of it. So, I mean, at that point, you're thinking, okay, looks as if he might be able to shake them up, and from then on for him, it kind of became a frustrating evening. I mean, Celtic. If Celtic had scored 7 or 8 in this game, you couldn't really have argued that they created enough chances, enough really, really good chances to score 6, 7, 8 goals in this game. And that's not any exaggeration. I mean, Reegan could have scored 4 or 5 himself. He could have scored easily 4 from headers. Johnny Kenny, he had a couple of really, really good chances. The one towards the end, the pass from Engels, which was probably the best piece of quality in the game. That's a good chance. He's had other good chances. But again, it's one of those ones, David, and I think we've touched on it before. Striker's coming on. He hasn't had an awful lot of minutes. And it's very hard when those opportunities present themselves. You're not game sharp. You're not match sharp. You haven't been playing. And as much as you can play every day in training, and you can do whatever happens on the training field and things like that, it's just not the same as having that sharpness when the ball comes to you in a key moment in a big game that matters. But straight after that, we then get that killer moment, that sucker punch that has become all too familiar this season. Tanecki, he wasn't the only one involved, but it was him gave the ball away. He's the last Celtic player to have possession. Similar to the Dundee game, he gives possession away, and within seconds, the ball's in Celtic's net. Bit different this one in terms of the actual shot, moment of real quality. I was ready to get stuck into Kasper Schmeichel, but on reflection, I don't think anybody's saving that, to be honest.
Yeah, I know.
It's just one of those strikes, and again, it's one of those things for me when you're going through this period that Celtic's going through. Shots like that tend to end up in your top corner, and that's it's just one of those. I mean, that'll come to no shock. Anybody sitting watching, you just have thought, here we go again.
I was exactly the same when the goal first went in. I picked my phone up and I was ready to run by it in our group chat. I was like, what's it going to take to get this fucking asshole out of the goals? And then the replay came up, and I just quickly backtracked. I was like, nah, nobody's saving that one. It was just it was a very typical Celtic in Europe moment where, they just absolute sucker punch with a piece of brilliance out of nowhere, and that goal was going through my head for the rest of the 90 minutes, Terry, because it was a goal out of nothing. And I know they went down to 10 minutes, and I know we'll get into that, but that was just my whole feeling for the rest of the game was, okay, we're building into the game and we're getting into it now, and we're starting to take control of the game, but it just takes a moment like that, and my confidence is so low with Kasper Schmeichel right now in goals, and just the defence and just Celtic in general, that I found it really difficult to relax at any point throughout the game, because that was just a stark reminder that even at this level, in the second tier of European football, against clubs such as the Austrian champions, there is the little piece of quality that we're just maybe not used to seeing in the SPFL, and it's a stark reminder of we can't shut off at any moment, and that's what that was. It was just a stark reminder of we're up a level right now, and we're struggling at domestic level right now. So I was really panicking at that point, and I was dreading the worst. I don't know about you at that point. I don't know if you had kept the faith at that point, but I was just like, oh, dear,
Dave. I was positive. I was positive throughout, and again, I was saying just when I was sort of waffling by myself at the start there, I just had a good feeling, and I just thought something good could happen tonight. Although again, it's maybe a little bit in hindsight when you've got the result and things got better. I just thought something good could happen tonight. Just pick up on Strangelove's point there. I'd mentioned there about Tanecki giving the ball away. tonight, leading up to the goal, and again against Dundee. But the last thing we want this lad to do is to stop dribbling because he's afraid to give the ball away. You know, he's the one shining light this season. He's the one creative spark. He's the one player that's given us moments of enjoyment in an otherwise very, very underwhelming start to the season. So there's no winger in world football that doesn't give the ball away. It's just Celtic at the minute that if you give the ball away, it's ending up in the back of your net. And I thought he was excellent tonight. I thought he was very, very good. Again, I don't know why the manager isn't prepared to put him on the right-hand side. I mean, he's right-footed, he's got pace, he's got tricks. You know, there's reasons not to play other players there. So Balikwisha got a go and it didn't work. Reegan got a go and it didn't work. He gave him another go tonight, even though he's left-footed and doesn't have the pace. I just don't see what the harm would be to try it for half an hour. I don't see what can possibly. I don't see how it can go wrong.
Could be worse.
You know what I mean?
No, I'm totally with you. I've been saying it for a while. I've been speaking to my clients at work about it that are Celtic fans. It's just like, I don't understand why you move a player such as Maeda, who scored 30 goals on the left-hand side, and go, right, you're going to go play it on the right, when we know he's as great as Maeda was last season. Just everything he touched just turned into goals. That his work rate, everything was like, we know what we're getting Maeda, but we know he's very limited as a footballer, you know, with his technical abilities, you could almost argue. So to put him where he's more uncomfortable just didn't make sense to me. Like, just play him. I know he's injured at the minute, but like at the time, you surely keep him on the left. And Tenecti, like you said, he looks almost both-footed, Terry. Like he's very confident on the ball. I don't see the harm in, out of all the players that are left-sided who could play, who were told can play both sides, I don't understand why he's not experimented and went, right, Tenecti, I think we're going to have to put you out on the right. It was like that when we had Jota and Maeda. Like, Jota was obviously the better technical footballer. So we put Jota out on the right to keep Maeda basically happy, because Maeda was limited on the right-hand side. I'm totally with you. I've been saying it for weeks. I mean, I understand why he's keeping him on the left, because he has been obviously arguably our best performer for creating chances. So I understand why he's keeping him there, but I just can't help but feel like that we don't have anyone else that is able to fill in on that right-hand side better than maybe somebody like Tenecti.
But my thought process is, surely he wants to give our other £5 million man some proper game time to give him a chance.
That too,
There has to be more than what we've seen. Now, there was one little piece of skill against Dundee that just got completely lost in all the negativity, where he shifted his feet and he had a shot. And again tonight, he only had 15 minutes or something. He looked a bit livelier. He looks, he looks a bit more keen to try and get involved and get a shot away. But I just don't see what would be wrong with giving Tenecti a run on the right and Balikwisha on the left, and just letting the two of them run at them. But anyway, he knows better than me. We're a goal down, David, and within another 10 minutes we're a man down, and the Alistair Johnson comeback is called short. So the fans wanted Alistair Johnson back. The manager was obviously very, very keen to get him back. The sports science guys are obviously given that the green light. And within 23, 24 minutes, he's off again. The hammy's away, and that's probably him. That's probably him gone for another few spells, another few months on the sideline.
What was your honest opinion, Terry, when you seen him in the lineup tonight? What was your honest opinion? Like, I know there was a lot of like positivity and everything, but you know they had the post of the shirt walking around Glasgow right up to Celtic Park and that. Like, but it's one of those ones that you want to be wrong and you hate being proven right. But as soon as I seen it, I was just like, this is just a little. We've seen this happen way too often. Who was it recently this happened to? Was it last season or the season before? I don't know. I mean, maybe Ange had rushed somebody back and they ended up having to get subbed off fairly quickly. It just didn't seem. I didn't see why that that tonight's game was that important to risk Johnson compared to maybe Hearts, where I read.
But then, do you start him cold? Do you start him cold against Hearts? I suppose is
Well,
another
that's it. You got to
angle.
start him at some point, yeah. But maybe he should have played. In hindsight, I do think. I mean, Donovan. I've been more than happy with Donovan, and I don't really understand why he got dropped recently. But again, the manager knows better than us, Terry. But I just kind of felt that Donovan.
But you know who's
would
going
have
to play
been
on Sunday
fine.
at right back?
Sorry.
You know who's going to start on Sunday at right back?
Oh, it's going to be Ralston, isn't it? It's going to be Ralston. But I was buzzing to see that Johnson was fit and was able to play, but I was like, I don't know if he should start because this and this is exactly why. He's just pulling him out the cold, and you know what Johnson's like. He's going to give 120%. He's going to try and bomb down that wing and go balls to the wall with everything, and it's because he overcommits that way, and his body's not been ready for it, unfortunately. But
I just felt with the amount of technology available to us and the science and the importance of all of the sports science guys and taking their views on, I would have thought that they wouldn't have given the green light if they thought there's any significant risk of reoccurrence. But there you go. It's one of those things again. You're down in your luck. You've lost Iheanacho. You've lost a worldie from 30 yards, 35 yards. You've then lost your player that's coming back again. Can it get any worse? Well, it nearly did because they then hit the post. And at that point, yeah, even my most positive sort of mindset, I suppose, was starting to get a little bit nervous. But probably from about 15 minutes before halftime, I think we then started to come on to a bit of a game. We started to create chances. Taneke came alive at that stage, and he really started to take his man on and beat him with a great deal of regularity. And it was a case of could we get the ball to him, because he was starting to make things happen. Halftime, come back out second half. Hatate should score. Great skill to set it up for. It's only inches away, but he's tried to absolutely smash it. If you remember the one he scored against Craig Gordon, do you remember the one just after he signed where the ball moved every shape? When you see it from behind, or when you see it from behind Hatate, you can see the amount of movement on the ball, but he probably doesn't need to strike it as hard or as well. And maybe if he doesn't connect so well, the ball ends up in the net. But it's a good positive start to the second half. They then get another chance where there's a header, and I thought it was in the net. Schmeichel didn't move. It just was on the outside of the post. And then from about that moment onwards, I kind of felt Celtic took a real stranglehold. And then you've got that sort of crazy spell where Ben Negrin seems to miss about 3 headers inside as many minutes. What did you think of him tonight, David? So obviously he's played on that right-hand side. It didn't work great the last time. You could argue there was limitations to his play tonight, but what you can't argue with was the amount of opportunities that he got. And yes, fair enough, I've made in my notes here, Benjamin Negrin must have a 50p shaped head, because everything he headed went in the opposite direction from where he was trying to put it until the one that he eventually got. But I was enthused by the fact he was getting in the right position so many times, as so many of the players were. And I just felt, you know what, even if it's not going to be tonight, this is more positive. We're creating chances. How many games has there been already in this short spell where you've just felt we done nothing in that game? We didn't create anything. We didn't look dangerous at all. From that period just before halftime through and right through the goals that we got for a good solid 40 minutes, I felt it was probably the best spell that we've had this season, where we were just creating chance after chance after chance. And I know they're pretty meaningless if you don't take them, but you've got to make them first of all. And we haven't been doing that. I was, as I say, I was enthused by what I've seen in terms of the chances. And I think if we create that amount of chances every single game for the rest of this season, we'll win the SPL, and we will give plenty of teams an absolute caning. It's just, can we put our finger on? Can the manager put his finger on what we did during that period and just get the guys to reproduce it? Because I thought it was decent. Now, it wasn't perfect. There were still shaky moments at the back. There were still the odd pass that was given away, but there wasn't that constant first thought of passing the ball backwards. Mm-hmm. We were on the front foot and we were trying to make things happen. And most importantly, we were making things happen. We just didn't have the end product.
Yeah, we just lack that killer instinct at the minute, Terry, and a bit of composure. And I think if we can, whoever that's going to be, can find that on a consistent level, we would have buried 7 or 8 tonight. Negrin, I was extremely it was a bit of a roller coaster of emotions with him tonight, because he was, what you can't take away from Negrin is he's very, very passionate. And he's obviously, he's bought into what it means to be a Celtic player. Like he certainly, he missed a lot of chances tonight, Terry, but a lot of them he made with some very clever runs. And he didn't shy away after he missed his. He kept wanting the ball and he kept wanting to create the chances for him. And when he got that goal eventually, you could see what it meant to him. And like you said, you have to cut him a little bit of slack, because he was playing in an unfamiliar position. Or certainly not a position that he would rather be playing, but he made the most of it. And I thought overall a frustrating performance, but he got his rewards in the end by not giving up on what could have been a very, very frustrating night for himself as well. And the fans, you could hear it in the crowd. The fans were getting a bit fed up with him. I was reading on Twitter, get him hooked, get him off. Even I was shouting at the television. I've seen enough. Like you said, that the amount of headers he should at least be hitting the target and working the keeper. And I was just like, how many chances are you going to get? And then he had a couple more actually. One was just a brilliant save by the goalkeeper after he'd scored. But fair play to the guy. Like he's arguably our best goal threat at the minute. I think he's probably our top goal scorer, which is mad. I think he's taken that Kyogo number a bit too seriously by creating so many chances for himself and not taking them. So like, if we can start taking a few more, I'd be extremely happy with him. I mean, we paid 1.7 million for the guy. I know you can't really measure that with the price tag and everything, because obviously the how much was left on his contract. That where did we sign him from? Was it
Northland?
Was it Richland we signed him from?
Northland,
right? Okay. But yeah, I mean, I like his attitude, man. I know he annoyed a few people with the shush. I thought Kirk up in his ears and stuff. Like he likes a bit of the theatrics a bit too much, but you can't doubt his passion and his drive for the club, Terry. I mean, I was happy that he got the goal. Do I want to see him play at right wing against Hearts? No, probably not. But I have to say I liked the inclusion of Engels tonight, Terry. And if that gets Engels on the pitch, and after tonight's performance, looks like he should really be building on that, because I thought it was a real confidence booster for Engels tonight. If that's what we're going to get by playing Negrin out on the right, to get that Engels on the pitch, then I'm all for it. If that's what we need, then I'm all for it.
Yeah. So Negrin finally got his goal. That was to make the score 2-1. That turned out to be the winning goal. That was from a delivery from Arnie Engels. But 2 minutes previous to that, we drew level, and it's a bit like one of those ones, isn't it, where you're waiting on a bus and then 2 come at once. So 2 goals in a few minutes. It wasn't one of the strikers. It wasn't one of the makeshift wingers. It was good old reliable Liam Scales with a cool, calm finish inside the penalty box. Again, Engels was involved. There was a short corner. He plays a pass to Donovan, who then finds Scales, and it was never in doubt. If there's one man you wanted to fall to in the box, it's Liam Scales.
He showed everybody how to how to get some composure about themselves and just slot it past the goalkeeper with a bit of finesse, Terry.
He showed them. He showed them how
I was
it's
glad.
done.
I was glad he got the goal. I think he gets a lot of stick, Liam Scales, but he never lets it get in the way of what he does for us. You know, like I don't know. We always, as Celtic fans, and probably lots of football fans, Terry, we always find a bit of a whipping boy that we want to pass the buck a little bit to and blame. But I think Liam Scales is probably consistently our best player this season, and fair play because, he said he does get it tight a lot from all angles, but he always comes up with important goals for us, Terry. I think that's the most important part about some of Liam Scales' goals over the last few seasons, and especially tonight. That was a really important goal, and it really set the tone.
Do you know what I like more than even the goal? No, I like the goal, but the bit where near the end where he gets hurt, but he's off the pitch, but he's got the mentality to roll onto the pitch so that the other team can't go ahead and take the corner when he's off the pitch. That's the type of thing that Celtic players don't do enough of. They're not streetwise enough. I thought, yes, it seems like nothing in the whole course of the game, but it shows that he's thinking.
I'll be honest, Terry. I didn't see any of that because my 100% legal paid stream of the game cut out, which I'll have to.
I'll explain to you what happens. So
I'll have to have a word with TNT Sports about that.
He concedes a corner. He concedes a corner. He ends up off the pitch, and he's taking a bit of a sore one. And the guy wants to go and take the corner quickly, and Scales rolls onto the pitch. The guy then can't take the corner because he goes over to try and lift Scales off the pitch, and despite being really hurt, Scales has the strength to push him off and stay down until he's ready to come on again. It's just the type of thing that we don't do often enough. It's like that. It's like that one where a team's hitting you on the counter attack, and when the ball's on the edge of their 18-yard box, you know it's going to end up on our net, and you just want somebody to go in and take a yellow. We don't do enough of that either. But anyway, we got that done, and then next key moment was a red card for their player for a high challenge on McGregor. What's your thoughts on that one? Straight red? You agree with that?
Yeah, it was reckless. It was pretty dangerous. I mean, McGregor wasn't slowing down either, but you can't be going studs up like that. It was, yeah, a red card for me. I was happy with that.
Yeah, for me in today's game, it is a red card.
Yeah.
I'm a wee bit old school. I think it was a high end yellow in the football that I liked and loved. But in today's more sanitized game, it's a red all day long. But yeah, it's a different game. It
could have been either way, Terry. But yeah,
football. I mean, if he hadn't gave a red, if he gave a yellow, I probably could have found a way to live with it. I didn't think it was the absolute worst one that I've seen. But,
yeah.
You know, when you see it slowed down, it's going to be a red.
They always like worse slowed down, though, Terry, don't they? They always like worse slowed down.
Yeah. And then we've probably just got the remaining time where even though we had an extra player and we were still creating chances, you just still sort of have that nervous. It's not even Celtic in Europe mindset anymore. It's just Celtic in general, where something can and probably will go wrong. But it didn't. We've seen it through. There was one more moment of brilliance from Arnie Engels. That ball that he delivers for Johnny Kenny is. It's well seeing me and John are of the same sort of vintage. He agrees. He agrees it was soft.
If it was on our player, it was solid red, mate.
Arnie Engels with another delivery. Alan Robertson comes in. Engels looked hungry tonight. I've seen a few people there that felt that Tanecki was man of the match, and yeah, on the balance of things, he probably was. But I think Engels had a strong game. We've been here before with Arnie Engels, where he has fleetingly given us glimpses of what we would like to see on a more consistent basis, but I don't see. I know the guys in the comments are starting to sort of look ahead to Sunday's match, which we can do now, obviously, for the last 5 or 10 minutes, David, and then I'll let you get off. But all attention turns to Sunday. We're undoubtedly going to be without Iheanacho, going to be without Alistair Johnson. Depending how your viewing was full time, you may or may not have seen Cameron Carter-Vickers on the deck at the end of the game and having to be helped off by one of the medical guys. That's always a concern whenever that happens. So tonight's win and the positives that come from that. Yes, it's great to be now beginning to Sunday. I'd rather begin Sunday off the back of a win and some positive play than going in on another draw or a defeat or not having scored or all of those things. But at what cost does it come? It's a difficult one. With no choice, we'll have to get on with it. I think we're definitely without the first two that I mentioned there. So again, that's going to be a case of Donovan or Ralston. I hope he goes with Donovan. He wasn't perfect again tonight, but I just think he's a better bet than Ralston right now. So I would go with him up front. Again, a process of elimination. It's probably going to be Kenny. I mean,
it's going to be Kenny. Yes, it's going to be Kenny.
Played through the middle before, but not for us, and he hasn't played much for us. Yamada hasn't been seen for ages. He might get on the bench.
Yeah.
We'll see Callum Osmond.
How do you feel about that, Terry? Like with the Yamada situation, like, I mean, I know he hadn't scored up until that point, but I felt like he wasn't doing anything that justified complete elimination from the squad. You know, he has that pace that he's got this Ferrari pace that Rodgers is asking for.
He's got the Ferrari speed.
He's got the Ferrari speed. He's got the nitrous oxide. You know, he's got it all there. But he's just completely been eliminated out of the squad completely, and I think that's his only. I don't want to say positive that any actual was not is that Yamada is probably going to find himself back in the squad, and then we've got another striker that's not kicked the ball for 7-8 weeks, and now expecting him to come on and do wonders for us out of the cold. That one is a bizarre one, but yeah, I think I think Kenny will start, Terry, if Maida's not fit. So I would say Kenny as striker, but I think Yamada will be back in the squad.
Yeah, it's a difficult one, David, because we've seen nothing of Simpson Pusey. We've seen nothing of Osmond other than pre-season. We've seen very, very little of Yamada, and we've seen little to nothing of Inamura. But all four of those signings have blatantly been ditched in the last month or so. You could argue 2 or 3 of them have never even made it into the, they didn't get far enough to be ditched. I mean, Simpson Pusey, we just haven't seen this guy, and nobody is going to tell me that guy isn't good enough to play in our first team. I just refuse to believe it. I just do not believe it. Whatever's going on, you have to trust the manager. Says me, who wheeled him out in my bin on Sunday night, but he sees him every day, and you have to hope that he wouldn't be so petty not to play them because someone has brought them in with or without his say so. If there's a player in that squad, given the predicament that we're in and the pressure that he's under, and he is undoubtedly under pressure, and he is getting, we always talk about his press conferences and how cool and calm he is. I think there's signs of him certainly being flustered recently. And that's when you slip up and you make silly comments that then can be wheeled out against you. I really, really hope that he wouldn't be so petty not to play someone who could do a job for us just to prove a point. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think with the way the injury status is now, yeah, I think Yamada probably comes into the squad, and if he comes into the squad, I'd imagine that he will. If it's just between him and Kenny will start. But you have to imagine Yamada will then get game time, because if Kenny's played most of the game tonight and then has to go again on Sunday after being out of the team, not playing regularly. You can't imagine he's going to be up for 90. If I had to bet on whether Mead is fit or not, I would say he's not going to be. And then Carter Vickers, we're just going to have to wait and see on that one. I seen somebody asking earlier, was Trusty back? He was on the bench tonight, so you have to assume that he's well.
So
again,
we
can't assume anything, because if he comes in on Sunday and isn't ready and goes out again, then you're losing another one. Sorry, what were we saying there, mate?
Has Trusty been injured this entire time? Is that why he's not featured?
He's got plantar. He's got plantar on his foot.
Well, mate,
it's painful. It's painful, and there's very, very little you can do.
I got it in COVID. I got it during COVID. We got put into lockdown, and you were told the only thing you were allowed to fucking do was walk, and I couldn't walk the length of the living room. It was like, for fuck's sake, sitting there with a golf ball, sitting there just trying to size a golf ball in the bottom of my foot for weeks.
I've had it as well. That's the only treatment that I kind of got. They got me to get the golf ball, so I was sitting. Whenever I had it, I was in the office, and I was sitting like with my shoe off, just rolling this golf ball up and down with a sock on. Like anybody walking past me, just looking back, and what are you doing?
Oh, man.
So it's one of those ones. It's not something you can really force, because it'll fix itself whenever it fixes itself, and that's it. So we'll bring it to a halt there, David. We were up in the 90s there. There was only about 20 whenever I was on my own, but whenever you joined me there, we got a massive surge. So thank you for doing that. Sunday, I'm looking forward to Sunday. I genuinely am. I'm looking forward to it now, coming off a positive result with, I would say, a positive performance for at least half of the game. We've got to be up for this. And these are the games, David, that you're going to have to get a result if you want to win this league. What is a good result at this stage? I want the win. I mean, if
got to be a win, Terry.
If we come away with a draw, given where things are, then it's not the end of the world. But I want to win. Imagine the turn that could come about having got a result tonight. If you could then go to Tynecastle and get the win, how quickly does everything? It doesn't correct all the problems, but it creates a surge of positivity, and that can make such a difference. Those things, the positivity, the momentum, all the things that go along and contribute to winning football matches, other than just having good football players and good tactics. I'm positive. I think we go there. I think we get a result. I really do. And a result for me is a win.
Yeah, I think we'll get a result as well. I mean, because I was debating a lot with clients today. I had a lot of Rangers fans in today, and they're in a very weird predicament where, like, either win for either of us isn't great for them. So they're in proper like turmoil there. But like I was saying, like, do Hearts stick with what they've been doing and what's been working against us, which is obviously far more attacking, open football, and they're going to have a lot of confidence to come at us, which obviously would suit us better, Terry. Like we saw tonight when the game was far more open, it suited us. Or do Hearts try and sit in and frustrate us? And obviously, and obviously, I've seen this season how Celtic have struggled with that sort of football. Like, I just don't know what kind of Hearts we're going to get, and that's going to be the real test, I think, for Hearts. Is they got the balls in the bottle to go toe to toe with Celtic, or are they going to try and play the frustrating game?
I think they go for it.
If you're Hearts, would you go for it? If you were the manager, if you're Dave McInnes, you're just saying, no, we're going for it.
Yeah, you've got to believe that at some point Celtic are the fortunes are going to turn around, and you'll never get. You have to think this is going to be your best chance of the season to get 3 points, just given the state that Celtic are in on and off the park. This is your best chance of getting 3 points, and they have to go for it. The crowd will not let them sit back. I've watched a bit of Hearts. It's natural just whenever they're up there competing with you. I've watched them. I don't think they're any great shakes, David. It goes back to those two words again: confidence and momentum. and they've got that. They've got a supporter base that are riding the crest of a wave, and there's a lot of positivity around the club with Bloom coming in and investing money, and they've spent wisely. They've brought some good players in. There's a little winger on the left hand side, and again, not having Johnson could, that could be a problem, because he looks to be a very sort of exciting player they have there. But no, I think they'll smell blood, but I think what this also creates for them as well, that they'll be under pressure to go for it from their fans. But I think there just will be a pressure in this game now, because there's now an expectancy level on Hearts, and that's not something they've had to deal with. They're people are talking about them as being favourites going into this game. Now, if you look at any bookmaker across the world, they'll have Celtic as favourites. But the narrative in the media and cross fan bases, and lots of people are basically saying Hearts are favourites for this game because they've got everything going for them against Celtic with very little going for them. And that creates its own pressure. And that's something that Hearts won't have had to deal with at any point. At any point in the last, when was the last time they played a game where they were under pressure? It was 40 years ago at Dens Park. Do you know what I mean? That was the last time they had a pressure situation. Yeah, I'm joking. They've won some big games in between, and cup finals and stuff like that.
Yeah,
this is a massive pressure environment, and let's see how their players respond to that level of expectation on their shoulders.
Yeah, you'd like to think if we could slap them back down a bit and kind of almost like just remind them and just go and just remember, you're having a bit of fun now, but and if we manage to, you wouldn't put it past. I know evidence right now wouldn't suggest this, but you wouldn't put it past out to just putting a 4-0 past them, and that could really just derail all. Because I feel like Hearts are kind of, yes, they've been playing well, but there's just a lot of like positive momentum on their side as well. Like that Hibs game, like it was very close, and they got through that with a last minute, like a literally last kick of the ball, which then just added even more positive momentum that's been on their side, and they've just been rolling with it ever since. And if Celtic can, just almost put them back in their place and just rewind them, like it's it's a long this is a long season yet to play out. That could just be the turning point, and hopefully see them it'll derail their season a little bit. But there is, as much as it's annoying me that we're sitting 5 points behind them and could potentially be 8 points behind them if they do the unthinkable and beat us. This league would be a very, very boring league this season, more so than usual, with how poor the rest of our rivals have been this season. So
there's two things it could be. If it was a normal season, David, a normal season in terms of Celtic and Hearts, then we would be off, and the league would be done. If it was a normal season in terms of what you would, well, I suppose it is. What I was going to say, I'll rephrase this because I was going to describe it wrong. If we got the challenge from Rangers that we kind of expected we might get after all the furore about the investment and the vast sums of money that were spent and the new manager being brought in, if they had produced a solid start to the season and we had produced the start that we have, and we were 5 points behind Hearts and 8 or 9 behind Rangers, that would be an awful situation to be in as well. So it could be worse. It could be worse. And I've said a few times, I'm happy to embrace what's happening at the minute. Ultimately, yes, I don't want it to get to the point where that lead feels as if it's going to be very, very difficult to reel in. But I'm also happy to embrace what's happening in Scottish football. Another team for whatever length of time the challenge sustains, putting it up to both teams and giving us something to think about. Because what we're doing now is we're looking forward to games, and whether we're looking forward to the product that Celtic are giving us, we're looking forward to games, whether it's through jeopardy or nervousness. Every single point counts now, and a home game against Kilmarnock or an away game against Dundee or whatever, they're all carrying jeopardy because we just don't know what we're going to get from Celtic, and that brings its own sort of sense of excitement and anticipation as well, because you're going to have to turn up, and you're not going to steamroller teams the way we have done for the last 2 decades. So it is what it is. But looking forward to Sunday. I'll be on after the game. We'll work out who's going to join me come Sunday time. But thank you very much, David, for jumping on. Thank you to everyone that's joined us. We've been 85, 90 strong there for the last half hour. So thank you very much, everyone. Hail, and we will see you on Sunday. Let me just remember, David, the buttons that I have to press. I need to press the outro. Thank you, everyone. See you later.
See you later, man.
Bye.